Once upon a time, Artemis had stomach issues. That's my dog beside me, right there on the camera. She had stomach issues growing up. She had like a lot of food intolerances, and so she would throw up. I would say every morning for like the solid first 4 months of having her, she was throwing up, right? It got to the point where I would have rathered her throw up in my hand than to wash the comforter 3 days a week. I mean, 3 times a day. I was literally doing laundry, cleaning up her throw up 3 times a day. So it got to the point where I'd be like, she'd be throwing up and she's almost throwing up on the couch or almost throwing up on my bed, somewhere where it's hard to clean. So I would literally put my hand out so that she would throw up in my hand and instead of on the couch, right? I know it's gross. I was so tired of how many times I was doing laundry, right? So I'd always do that. She'd throw up in my hand. I'd be like, fuck, this dog doesn't throw. I found out later she has like intolerance for certain foods and stuff. And so I would always do this to the point. I know it's gross. I know it's gross. Like if you're doing laundry 3 times a day because your dog keeps throwing on your bed, you're eventually not going to give a fuck. You'd rather it in your hand. Okay. So eventually by accident, because of this, I taught Artemis every time she's going to throw up to put her throw up in my hand. It became to the point where she would nudge my hand. We'd be sitting around and she would nudge my hand and I'd be like, oh, what do you need? And I'd put my hand out and she'd bleh. So I accidentally trained my dog to just bleh all over my, every single time. She would, every time she had to throw up, she would be like, oh, like I'm going to throw up. Like, you know, and so like, even if we were outside in the backyard where she could throw up on the grass, she would come up to me and be like, excuse me, and I'd put my hand out, and she would throw, and I'd be like, ew, why? Anyways, if that's not bad enough, one time my sister had to watch my dog, and poor Artie had to throw up. Pew, pew, and so she went to a trusted adult, and she went to my sister, and nudged my sister's hand, and my sister didn't know this was a thing. So she goes up to my sister and nudges her, and she just throws up. And my sister was like, ew, because she hasn't been desensitized to how often it had happened. And my sister was like, what the fuck? My sister calls me and she's like, your dog's a piece of shit. She literally purposely threw up in my hand. She's like, I'm never watching your dog again. I was like, I'm so sorry. I accidentally trained her to do this. To this day, if Artemis nudges somebody's hand, it probably means she has to throw. She still throws up in my hand. I now know what's going to make her throw up, so she very rarely throws up. But if she does have to throw up, she will still throw up in my hand to this day. Anyways, one of my favorite stories